Come, Holy Spirit, enlighten our minds and hearts that we may understand today's word, practice in our lives, and share with others. Where two or three are gathered in my name, I am in their midst. How awesome is that moment right here. He's not only present in the Blessed Sacrament, He's present in us, around us, with us. And it is in His wonderful presence that I present myself, first thanking Father Craig, the pastor, and thanking you. This is a kind of a late mission appeal because when I began this program about 20 years ago, and the diocese accepted our mission in Pakistan, every year I used to be given 3 parishes to go and celebrate masses and preach and make my mission appeal. And I must say, people have been very kind, compassionate, loving, and above all, generous. It is because of the support of the people of God, people who are our brothers and sisters, people who are our family in God, that we were able to build 2 schools. One of them, almost now, we were going to start the high school, and the other school, we are kind of considering maybe we should continue or not. It is in the middle of the Muslim community, and more and more non-Christians are coming to our school. So we are thinking maybe we'll go to another place. However, let me begin by saying that when I was ordained priest, I was in a parish where I had 150 villages. Actually, there were more, but for my ministry, I had to visit 150 villages during the year. And in good weather, in good season, that means there is no harvesting, that means there is no continuous raining, I would cover 5 villages a day. Get up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had a bicycle. So I would rush to the first village where people would be getting up, so getting ready, washing their face or whatever. And then we'll be in the church about 6:30, starting confessions and then Mass and then breakfast. I had my catechist with me, like deacon here. And that catechist is also your guide. Wherever he guides you, you go. And by 10 o'clock, we would be in the second village where we would have breakfast. And if there is a good number of people for the Mass, we would have Mass, confessions and Mass, and baptism. And then we move on to the third village, about 12 o'clock, 12:30. Visit, depending on what kind of setup of the village, visiting all the houses, checking their cards, and telling some people, oh, your child is now about 12 years old. Not receive Holy Communion? No. Okay. Catechist? you see to that. Oh, it's okay, Father, don't worry. Okay. So we'll move to the fourth village, somewhere about 3 o'clock, 3:30. And mostly it would be arranged according to the congregation. So if that is a small community, we would have Bible service and maybe some baptisms and move on to the last village. There is a sun setting and we are coming up. And so people were already informed beforehand that Father will be coming and having Mass here. So with catechist, I would visit every house. And there are cards with me and checking parents and children and what they're doing and how far they're with their sacraments and all that. In the meantime, telling people, eat and come. If there is a chapel, we would have the Mass in the chapel, so everybody is invited in the chapel. If it is in somebody's house, and almost everybody knows each other's house, we would tell them that come to that house. Start with confessions and Mass, and then by that time, I am done. But people would always have some special song for me. So while I'm getting ready to get to bed, they are ready to sing a song for me. So anyway, for their pleasure and for, I would do that. So that was somewhere the routine, almost all the priests, that they would visit their people. This was before 1983, that of course Christians, they were victims in the sense, being Christians, being minority, just 2% of the whole population, Christians. Majority would be men would be working in their fields, and women would be working in their homes, washing clothes and washing dishes, whatever. And by the end of the day, they would be home. So at harvest time, those men who would be working in the fields, they would get in kind. If it is wheat, they will get some wheat. If it is rice, they'll get rice. Or even if there is cotton, they'll get part of that. And so that's how they would manage. And women getting a little bit from whatever they would do during the day. So this was going on at the time when it was still India. Well, I came out to the missions when I was a Pakistani. And so until 1983, Christians were persecuted, Christians were put down, Christians were without jobs, and especially those who would be working in the brick kilns. I don't know if everybody is familiar with brick kilns, where they bake bricks. And so the Christians would be working for those landlords, for the owners of the brick kilns, where they first have to prepare the sand and mud together and make bricks. Then they have to bring it to the oven where they would bake them, and then they would take them out and put them in line. And so even the smallest child who can pick up a brick is employed there because they want to make some money. By the end of the day, if they're getting a few cents to put some food on the table, they have to have more hands to help them. And so this was going on even when I was a young man. My father was a catechist. As I said, they are like deacons. We were 5 brothers, 5 sisters. And his income would be from the people. He would go visit villages, 2-3 villages a day. Wherever he would conduct a Bible service, people will collect some money in the basket and then give it to him. At the time of his salary, when he would go to the city from the village to the parish priest who had employed him, whatever money he would get, he would use it for the fees, our fees in the schools, especially in the boarding schools. So this was the way all of us were educated. This was the way that we were given that light and that power that we could be whatever we could be, because majority of the people, they were not educated. So what I'm giving you is a kind of background where I got all those ideas how people were living and what their future would be. Their future, as I would see them, one example I'll give, I'm called to a village. No, I am in the house and I'm getting ready to go for some, next day I think we had to go for touring, visiting people. And then all of a sudden, I had gone to the city and I came back to the parish, and I see half of the compound full of people. And I called the catechist. I said, what happened? He said, these are the people from that village where the landlords have thrown them out. They are saying, you used to work for us in the past. Now you're working at building roads and getting your daily wages, and you're not working for us. This is our land. These are our houses. Get out. They threw them out and locked all those houses. So they're here. Where to go? I said, wow, this is something that we have to do. So I told all those people, I said, come in line of 3 and 3 and 3 or 4 or 4. And my assistant priest was with me. I said, Father Simon, put on your cassock. Let's go to the police station. There was the inspector police. So we made a procession. They're all following us. And when we reached his compound, there I told the people, I said, sit down, let me go and speak to the police inspector. Police inspector was sleeping. So his orderly who takes care of him, he came running out. He said, please don't disturb him. I said, what happened? He said, we had a long night and he went to sleep after 2 o'clock. So we won't disturb him. I said, okay, come here. I said, look at all those people here. If you don't want to disturb him, then here they are. So he went in, running in, and then the police inspector, he knew me because his children were in our school. So he said, Father, what happened? I said, this is what happened. He said, okay, go to that place. The police station is about 3-4 miles from there. Meet with the police, the chief, and then give him the whole story. He said, okay. I took my motorbike with my catechist. We were there. And the police in charge, now it was about evening, and he said, Father, if you don't mind, I'll send my police officers tomorrow morning, early morning, because by the time they get out, there are no roads to those villages. They'll have to go to the paddies, through the fields, and this is a plantation season for rice. They'll be lost. I said, okay, what time should it be? 10 o'clock. By the time I reached there, the heads of that village, they were called, and they were there sitting on those beds, charpais or whatever they call them. And the police officer, I said, sir, if you give me about 5 minutes, you can come after that. Let me talk to them first. And I went to them and I said, Assalamu alaikum, that's a greeting in Arabic. Nobody said anything. Oh, I said, okay, so nobody's a Muslim here. Then I said something in Urdu. Nobody responded. I said, so you're not even Pakistanis? And so 2-3 questions that I asked, they didn't say. They were all illiterate. So one of them, the elderly fellow, got up and he said, sir, we are all illiterate. We are, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, okay. Now, you have done this. You have thrown out your brothers and sisters who are Pakistanis, and they are homeless now. So what we are going to do? I gave them some, some threats and all that. And no, I said, if that same thing happened to you, to your people, what would you do? So I really made them ashamed. So he said, on behalf of all my brothers, I apologize. And I promise that when I go back, I'm going to call all those Christians, we will have a big meal, and we'll make up. As he's speaking, the police officer comes up, the chief, and he uses his language, and he really puts them to shame, and everybody is downcast. So those days, why I gave this example, those days I could do that. But after 1983, the blasphemy law came up. So any Christian who was not in good books with a Muslim neighbor or somebody else would accuse him or her for blaspheming the prophet, desecrating the mosque, desecrating the Quran, holy book, could be executed on the spot. How many thousands and thousands of Christians have been incarcerated, have been killed? So this is where the situation is. And after my ordination, I used to meet with my brothers and sisters after Christmas. My mother was still alive. And so we would have a nice meal. No, we would start with Mass, meal. And then before they go, at a cup of tea, I would gather everybody around and I said, okay, my brothers and sisters, God has blessed us. You all have jobs, you all have homes, you all have cars, most of you. What about our brothers and sisters in the villages who are persecuted, who have nothing? How many times they have to go hungry during the day or whatever because they are not educated? So, we came to that conclusion, thinking together and talking together. And so our first school really came about by a little bit contribution of my brothers and sisters. And then it happened that I came to United States. And I did some courses in spiritual direction, and I did masters in social work from Fordham University. I taught a little bit. I treated alcoholics, drug addicts, psychiatrically impaired in Kings County Hospital clinic because I had to pay my loan back to the bank that I had borrowed money from. And so those were very dangerous places. They were psychiatrically impaired, and they were dangerous people, murderers, most of them. And when I was assaulted twice, I said, this is it. I got back to my full-time priesthood, not on weekends. And in the meantime, I was also ready to find a parish. So I wrote to Bishop John McCarthy, and one of priest of Father Oliver Virakoti, he from Sri Lanka, we worked together, and I asked him to recommend for me. And after his recommendation, I came to Austin Diocese, and I met with Bishop John McCarthy, and he said, and where are you from? I said, I'm from Pakistan, born in India, grew up in Pakistan. So he said, and now where are you coming from now? He said, from New York. And he said, okay, you're from Pakistan, you're from New York, you're from Timbuktu, you're from where? This is Texas. People talk different, people walk different, people think different. So you have to learn how to contact how to communicate and how to serve them in their way. I said, okay. So he sent me to the hospital in Austin as a chaplain. After 6 months, he said, it's okay, you can now go. And I came first time, I worked at St. Luke Church in Temple. So from there on, then I was in different parishes. And but at Granger, St. Cyril Methodius, I was there twice, and it is there that I was able to make the people of St. Cyril Methodius Parish, when I talked to them about helping those people there in Pakistan, they said, we will make it into an organized way, and we will. So you give us the name. I said, Missionaries of Hope. So we started that program there, and it was there that an agent, from the newspaper, came to me and he said, Father, can I have an interview? This is, I'm representing Temple Daily Paper. I said, okay. Took an hour for the interview. He wrote an article. That article was read by different people, and they were calling and they were commenting. And one lady from Georgetown, Rosemary Colgrove, she called me and she said, Father, I'm Rosemary Colgrove. My daughter is in your school there at St. Cyril Methodius. And I read your article in Temple Daily. I said, so? She said, I see a story there. So can I come and help to write your story? I said, okay, that would be nice. So she started coming every Friday, 10 o'clock in the morning for 1 hour. For 4 years, we wrote that story, and she gave me different names. And finally, she took the name, Eye on the Sparrow. I am the sparrow. I am the sparrow, and God is watching me. And so that story, that book became very popular. And I had that book in my car. I brought the books, and if somebody could wait here, we could get those books, and after the Mass, if you want to. That would be help also. I've been using that book for the children. So whatever you can give. I think it's $17.50 or something like that. Whatever. So I have those books here. And I'm just making this mission appeal because we pay the staff, of course. We pay for the children, books for the children, uniform for the children. And now we have, from True Brick Kilns, about 300 kids, which is, I am kind of surprised how those owners could allow these 300 children come from there. They could have used them for the work they were getting from the Christians. But anyway, this is their only chance. Never, ever they will have a chance to go to school. So my whole idea is we will make sacrifice, we will do whatever we can to give them a bright future. Without education, they are little animals. They are nothing. They have to be used. And so with education, with God-given talents, with some training that we will provide them, they will be able to get a job, they'll be able to get a position somewhere, and they'll be able to lift up their families. So this is where my whole idea is, that with your help, we will be building their future. And as they say, you are baptized and you are part of God's family. We are all children of God. You are confirmed and you have been made a missionary. But not all of you will be going on the missions as I am, but it is said you can't go on a mission, but you can support a mission, so you are going on mission by supporting a mission. So this is my appeal, that please, you're not doing it for me, you're doing it for the little children, for the poorest of the poor children, whom Jesus says, these are my least of these brothers and sisters are mine, and if you do anything for them, you're doing it for me. So you're doing it for Jesus, you're doing it for the children, you're doing it for their bright future. So I say, make a little sacrifice, be generous, and give whatever you can, and He is watching, and He is appreciating. Wealth, money, you can't take it with you, but you can send it ahead of you, and that will be in the treasure in heaven. That will be your deposit in your investment in heaven. Thank you very much, and God bless you all for listening.